All right, so we're getting you ready for a Precision Mechanics Supervisor interview
And we're going to dive deep into RoleCatcher's resources.
to help you really stand out.
Yeah.
So think of this as your like a boot camp to really crush it in that interview.
You know what's fascinating about this role? It really blends both technical expertise and leadership.
Yeah.
It's not just about knowing the machinery. It's about guiding a team to get those like really precise results that you need.
Okay, so let's get tactical.
Yeah, let's do it.
We've got some potential interview questions here, and we're going to break them down,
Right.
give you some insider tips on how to answer them.
And don't forget RoleCatcher's AI.
Oh, right.
That can be a total game changer because it analyzes job descriptions.
Yeah.
It helps you tailor your answers and even get feedback.
It's like having a coach.
It is like having a coach in your pocket.
Love that.
Yeah.
Okay, first question. Describe your experience with precision machinery. I know you've got experience, but how do you make it stand out in an interview?
Yeah, you don't want to just list the machines that you've worked with. They want to see like the depth of your experience.
Yeah.
Talk about specific projects that really showcase your technical skills, especially ones that involve like really complex assemblies or tolerances that are really tight.
So instead of saying, I'm experienced with lathes,
Right.
you'd say something like, I've used lathes to create custom components for surgical instruments where the precision was critical.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, highlight that complexity, the precision involved.
Yeah.
And then imagine they follow up with, what's the most challenging project you've tackled that needed like extreme precision?
Ooh, that's where you get to really show off your problem-solving skills.
Definitely. And your passion for the field.
Okay.
So you want to think about a project that really pushed your limits, where you had to innovate or come up with some way to overcome some obstacle to achieve the precision you were looking for. Explain your thought process, the steps that you took,
Yeah.
and how it ended successfully.
All right, next question. How do you ensure quality control in precision mechanics?
Oh, okay.
So this one's all about showcasing your attention to detail, your commitment to excellence.
For sure. Think about specific quality control processes you've implemented or been a part of.
Yeah.
Have you used tools like optical comparators or coordinate measuring machines? Mention those.
And don't just list the tools, explain how you've used them to maintain those high standards.
Right.
Maybe you'll even have a story about when you caught a tiny error that could have had major consequences.
Yeah, a real-life example is going to make your answer so much better. It's going to show them that you're not just talking the talk, but you're walking the walk.
Yeah.
Now imagine they follow up and say, can you describe a situation where you had to put in place a new quality control process?
Okay, this is a good opportunity to show off problem-solving skills.
Definitely. Show your initiative. So walk them through that whole process from when you saw the need to putting the solution into place and how it made things better.
All right, moving on to the leadership aspect. How do you manage a team of precision mechanics?
Okay.
This one's interesting to me because I imagine leading this team requires a unique approach.
It really does. It's about finding that balance between technical expertise and being able to motivate and inspire a team
Yeah.
to reach those like micro-level perfections.
How do you bring that to life in an interview?
Well, think about your leadership style. Are you collaborative, results-oriented, maybe a mix of both? And then share specific examples. Maybe you've implemented a peer review system to improve quality.
Yeah.
Or you've created some training program to really boost your team's skills.
So it's all about showcasing your ability to not only manage, but to inspire that team to excel.
Absolutely. You want to highlight how your approach as a leader has improved the team's overall performance and the results of the projects.
Now, for potential follow-up, tell me about a time you had to deal with a conflict within your team. How did you approach that situation?
All right, well, this question is going to assess your conflict resolution skills, which is essential for any leader. Choose a situation that really shows how well you can mediate, listen to different sides of things, and ultimately find a solution that benefits the whole team.
And it's okay to talk about a time where you had to make a tough decision or maybe learn from a mistake.
Absolutely, because that shows you're self-aware and willing to learn and grow as a leader.
All right, let's tackle another skill. Describe a time when you identified and solved a problem in precision mechanics. I'm thinking STAR method here.
Oh yeah, STAR method for sure.
Oh.
Situation, task, action, result. It's going to be your roadmap to give a clear and compelling answer.
I love that.
Choose a situation that highlights your analytical thinking, your technical expertise, and focus on the steps you took to figure out the root cause.
Yeah.
and how you put a solution in place.
And it's all about the details, right?
Yeah,
Paint a picture
definitely.
for the interviewer.
Explain the technical challenges that you faced and the creative solutions that you came up with.
Now, what about a potential follow-up? Like, what was the most challenging aspect of that problem, and how did you overcome it?
Okay, well, that's where you can dive into that thought process and your resilience. Focus on the obstacle that really tested your skills and how you didn't give up until you found a solution or a workaround.
So you're not only showing that you're technically skilled,
Right.
but you're also showing you don't give up,
Mm-hmm.
which is essential for a leader.
Absolutely.
Okay, next up, how do you prioritize tasks in a precision mechanics setting?
Oh,
So this feels really relevant for a supervisor because they're juggling so many projects and deadlines.
absolutely. It's all about showcasing your organizational skills and your ability to manage all of those competing priorities.
Mm-hmm.
So think about the systems you use,
Yeah.
whether it's Kanban boards, to-do lists, project management software,
Yeah.
and explain how they help you stay on top of everything.
Well, I maybe throw in an example of a time you had to juggle multiple urgent tasks
Perfect.
and how you met those deadlines.
Yeah, because it adds credibility and shows you can handle that pressure.
And then what if they follow up with, what are some of the key factors you consider when you're prioritizing tasks?
Okay, well, that's where you can showcase that you understand the bigger picture.
Mm-hmm.
Explain how you look at the urgency, the complexity, the dependencies between different tasks, and how they impact those overall project timelines.
All right, before we wrap up this part, I want to talk about career insights.
Hmm.
This field seems to be evolving rapidly with all these advancements in automation
Right.
and robotics.
Mm-hmm.
So where do you see the most exciting opportunities for growth?
Well, I think one of the most promising paths is moving into automation and robotics integration
Okay.
within precision mechanics. As those technologies continue to advance, we're going to need more skilled professionals who can design, implement, and manage those systems.
So even within this field, there are opportunities to specialize and carve out a niche.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's where RoleCatcher's AI can be incredibly helpful,
Right.
because it can analyze those job trends and really pinpoint emerging skills that are in high demand.
Okay.
And then it helps you stay ahead of the curve and position yourself for success in those growing areas.
All right, that's it for this first part of our deep dive. We've tackled some tough interview questions and even got a glimpse into the future of this field.
For sure.
Stay with us.
Absolutely.
Welcome back. We're diving even deeper into those interview questions that really test your skills. You know, the ones that can really make or break you in an interview.
I think what's so interesting about this next set of questions is that they delve into those situational responses.
Yeah.
Where interviewers want to see how you think on your feet, especially when those micron-level details become a major headache.
So less about reciting textbook answers, more about how you handle the unexpected.
Exactly.
All right, hit me with a tough one.
Okay, imagine this. You have a tight deadline for a complex assembly project, and suddenly a key piece of equipment malfunctions. How do you handle it?
Whoa. Forget the pressure's on.
It is. It's all about staying calm and showing that you have a clear process for making decisions.
Okay.
So first you assess the severity. Can it be repaired quickly? What's the impact on the timeline? Then you explore your options.
Okay. So do you try to get it fixed ASAP, find a workaround, bring it back up?
Exactly. And each path has its pros and cons. So
Mhm.
you might say something like, I'd immediately contact maintenance to diagnose the issue. While that's happening, I'd review the project schedule to see which tasks are critical and can't be delayed. And then I'd explore potential workarounds with my team.
Okay, so you're thinking ahead, being proactive, managing the situation.
Right.
I bet they'd follow up with, how do you communicate this setback to upper management and the client?
Oh, that's a great point.
Mm-hmm.
Because clear and concise communication is absolutely key.
Mm-hmm.
You need to explain the problem, the potential impact, the steps you're taking to minimize the delay.
Transparency.
Yeah. Transparency builds trust even when things go wrong.
It's like they say, bad news doesn't get better with age.
That's right.
Address it head on. Okay, let's shift gears a little bit. We talked about managing projects and teams, but what about individual performance? How do you motivate a team member who seems to be slipping?
Okay, this is where your leadership and mentorship skills really come into play. The most important thing is to understand what's causing that performance dip.
Okay.
Is it a lack of training, personal issues, something else?
So start with a one-on-one.
Exactly. Have a conversation to get to the root of the problem.
Get that open communication.
Right? You could say, I'd schedule a private meeting to express my concern and ask some open-ended questions to understand their perspective. Are they facing any challenges? Do they need more support?
Showing empathy?
Exactly, showing genuine concern for their well-being. And once you understand the situation, you can work together to create a plan for improvement,
Right.
which could be additional training, mentoring, adjusting their responsibilities. And I think documenting these conversations and the actions that you agree on is really crucial.
Documentation is key.
It is, because it protects both the employee and the company. Now, let's say the interviewer throws you a curveball. How do you handle a team member who consistently fails to meet quality standards despite all the additional training and support you've given them?
Ooh, that's tough. Because you try to be supportive, but at some point, it affects the whole team.
Right. It's about finding that balance between support and accountability.
Yeah.
So you might say, I would reiterate the importance of meeting those quality standards and the impact it has on the team and our clients. And I would clearly lay out the consequences of continued underperformance following the company's procedures for disciplinary action if necessary.
Okay, so you're not afraid to have those tough conversations. You're committed to those high standards for everyone.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's talk about continuous improvement. Precision mechanics is always innovating. How do you stay ahead of the curve and make sure your team is embracing new technology and techniques?
Well, what's so fascinating about this field is that it's constantly evolving.
Right.
So staying up to date is vital, not just for you, but for your entire team.
So encourage them to attend industry conferences, webinars, online courses. Create a culture of learning where continuous improvement is expected and rewarded.
Yeah, I love that idea. What about integrating new technologies?
Well, I think a pilot program is a great place to start.
Okay.
That way you can test it out and get buy-in from the team before rolling it out company-wide.
I bet interviewers love hearing about those data-driven proactive approaches.
Oh, absolutely. And don't forget RoleCatcher,
Oh, right.
because its AI can actually analyze those job descriptions to identify the must-have skills
Yeah.
and suggest relevant training resources to fill any gaps.
It's like having a roadmap.
It is.
Okay, back to those tough questions. Describe a time you had to make a tough decision that impacted your team's morale.
All right, well, this question is all about showing your ability to make those difficult choices while still being mindful of the human impact. So think about a time when you had to implement a policy change, reassign roles, maybe even let someone go.
Those are all tough situations. They require empathy, strong communication skills.
Yeah.
You want to convey that you carefully considered all the angles you weighed, the potential impact on the team's morale, and that you communicated your decision clearly, respectfully, and transparently.
Even if it wasn't popular, you owned it.
Right. You explain the reasons behind it. It shows leadership and integrity.
Okay. Last question for this round. How do you ensure safety is a top priority in an environment where you've got machinery and potentially hazardous materials?
Well, safety is paramount, and showing that you're committed to it is crucial.
Mm-hmm.
So talk about specific safety protocols that you've implemented or enforced, like mandatory safety training, regular equipment inspections, clear procedures for handling those hazardous materials.
And bring them to life with examples.
Yes, don't just list the procedures. Give them a real-world example.
Sure.
Maybe you put in place a near-miss reporting system
No, that's a good one.
to proactively identify and address potential hazards. So it shows you're not just reacting to incidents, but actively creating a culture of safety. And remember, RoleCatcher can be really helpful here too,
Okay.
because it can help you research those industry-specific safety regulations and best practices so you're well informed.
That wraps up part 2. We tackled some really tough questions, but we're still standing strong.
We are.
All right, we've covered so much from the technical stuff to leadership skills to handling those tough questions, but now it's your turn.
Yeah, it's time to flip the script.
What do you mean?
Well, at the end of an interview, you get to be in the driver's seat. You get to ask questions.
Right.
And asking insightful questions shows that you're engaged and curious and really interested in the role in the company.
So it's not just about impressing them, it's about getting information too.
Exactly. You want to make sure this is the right fit for you.
Okay, so what kind of questions should I have ready?
You want to avoid those generic service level questions and instead think about what you really want to know about the company, the team, the role itself.
Okay, give me an example. What would make me stand out as a thoughtful candidate?
Well, instead of asking about company culture, you could try something like, what are some of the biggest challenges the team is facing right now, and how is the company supporting them to overcome those obstacles?
Oh, that's good. It shows you're not just thinking about the surface stuff.
Right.
You're interested in the team's success.
Mm.
What about questions about the role itself?
You could ask about specific projects the team is working on or the metrics used to measure success,
Hmm.
maybe even opportunities for professional development within the company. Think about what would get you excited to go to work each day and ask questions that dig into those areas.
It's about showing your interest and seeing if your goals match up with the company.
Exactly.
Now, what about those final moments of the interview? Any tips on how to leave a lasting impression?
It's all about reiterating your enthusiasm and showcasing your value. Remind them of your key strengths and how they align with the job requirements.
Yeah.
Maybe even share a personal anecdote that highlights your passion for precision mechanics or your leadership experience.
And thank them for their time?
Yes, express your gratitude and your eagerness to hear from them. You could say something like, "Thank you so much for your time. I'm really excited about this opportunity, and I'm confident I can make a significant contribution to your team."
Okay, so end on a positive, confident note.
Exactly.
Now, we've talked about RoleCatcher helping with the interview prep, but it can help afterwards too, right? The
Absolute.
feedback feature.
Yes. You can input your responses to those tough questions, and RoleCatcher's AI will analyze them, give you personalized feedback and suggestions for improvement.
It's like having a coach even after the interview.
It is. So even if you don't get this specific role, you're still gaining valuable insights that'll help you ace your next interview.
That's great. So we've come to the end of our deep dive. We've talked about those tricky interview questions, crafted insightful questions of your own, and even looked at how RoleCatcher's AI can give you an edge.
You've got the skills, the passion, and the resources to succeed.
Now go out there and crush that interview.